The American dream. We all see it in our own way. A home. College for the children. A comfortable retirement. Today, there's only one way to live the American dream, and that's to plan for it. For the choices we make for ourselves and our loved ones. To protect what we work so hard to achieve. So the future will be ours to enjoy. By this time in your life, you've probably accomplished a lot without a financial plan. But do you know if you were saving enough money to retire comfortably? Are you paying too much in taxes? Have you planned your estate so that your family benefits instead of the government taking more than half? If something happened to you tomorrow, would your family know what to do?
None of us can depend on the kindness of strangers, and the strangers in your life are your Uncle Sam or your uncle employer.
Don Underwood has been a retirement specialist with Merrill Lynch for over 20 years. He is the author of the book, Grow Rich Slowly.
We are dealing with the fragility of employer pension plans. We're dealing with the dwindling, if you will, of Social Security. So the only thing that's going to carry us through a longer life is going to be our own retirement planning, financial planning.
Financial planning is a formal step-by-step process that organizes and analyzes your finances, sets specific and quantifiable goals, determines your needs, and then devises ways to meet those needs. The result should be a written document, an individual and comprehensive financial plan.
A written investment plan or a written financial plan is really important because it provides discipline. It forces people to be very serious about what their decisions are, and it provides a recorded checkpoint along the way so they can determine if in fact they are making progress toward their goals.
Each of these people, Charles Peebler,
I like the short.
Cleo Green, John Francis, and James Wade, has different financial needs and priorities. And even though their specific problems may differ, we believe at Merrill Lynch that planning is the most effective way to begin the journey into their financial future. One of the benefits of planning is the feeling of security that comes from getting organized, finally gathering all of your financial information together and knowing where it is.
All men, like Chuck, find it very difficult to take the time, whether they have the knowledge or not, for them to take the time away from the business or away from a golf game, to sit down and really figure out, do I have everything in order? It just doesn't happen.
Tony asked me some questions about the future, and I couldn't really answer them in a direct fashion.
Finally, you reach a certain point in your life, a certain age in your life, and you begin to ask questions. What if, God forbid, Chuck was hit by a truck as he walked out of the house in the morning? Are we totally covered? Have we planned for everything?
I think Chuck is typical of a lot of very successful executives. Very, very busy, very successful at what he does, but very busy running his own company. However, his financial life has become very scattered, different investments at different times, without really taking a step back and looking at the whole picture and seeing how one thing relates to the other.
At this point in my life, I'm still growing my assets. Our company is growing, my values there are going up, and it's important that if I don't do the right things now in terms of planning, in terms of asset allocation, in terms of getting the most values out of what's there, I will have shortchanged myself.
Financial planning begins with a clear and concise description of a person's current financial position, a blueprint outlining everything they own, everything they owe, and the taxes they pay. With this net worth and tax analysis in hand, you can begin to consider ways to use the assets you have more effectively and potentially reduce your taxes.
With successful corporate executive clients like Chuck, we're very often able to help them in estate planning issues, sometimes as simple as pointing out that they need to have $600,000 in individual names instead of in joint names. In the area of credit, oftentimes the client really isn't even focused on what his mortgage rate is. He may have credit outstanding that's not tax deductible, and we can make it a tax advantage by using a home equity loan. We can help quantify what it will cost to educate a child. Many clients are continually putting money away for this substantial liability. By quantifying it and attaching a dollar amount to that, show the client whether he's underfunded or, in some cases, actually overfunded for that need.
Clearly defining your goals and the steps needed to achieve them is especially important in saving for retirement. Like John Francis, many of us dream of retirement and save, but how much money is enough? What are the odds that we will outlive what we've managed to set aside?
My financial dreams for the future are that when I become 51, that I can start to semi-retire, that I can travel, that I can leave this business for a couple of months.
John is a person who enjoys life. He's a mountain climber. He runs marathons. He owns his own business. He wants to be able to retire comfortably and go after his goals.
I was basically doing investments on my own. I then went to the trust department in the bank and worked with them. And I was like a number. I wasn't being taken care of as an individual.
He was spread all over the map.
He had many accounts at different areas, banks, brokerage firms, money market, CDs and checking accounts, and really no clear direction, no definition to his investments. What we're able to offer many of our clients is to consolidate those assets, help with the goals and objectives, and really determine what direction we should be heading.
Many people now use a combination of approaches, including looking for higher returns with tax-deferred investments. For example, putting away $2,000 a year tax-deferred for 20 years can earn $35,000 more than a taxable investment.
My goals for the future, I feel I'm very comfortable with. They're very obtainable. I want to live in a comfortable lifestyle for a long time.
Never is the need for comfort felt more strongly than after the tragedy of a sudden death.
My husband and I each took turns paying the bills, and so I knew how many bills we had and how much money we had. I didn't think my husband would die at 53. After a loss, you just do not think as clearly as you do if it was just a normal life. It's just hard enough to make it through the day. You really have to know that you're going to be okay and that you're going to make it by yourself.
Phil came to see me early in the year. Her husband had just passed away. She was looking for financial advice as it applied to all her assets, pull everything together, and try to develop a long-range plan.
A good financial plan establishes how much annual income will be needed to support a comfortable lifestyle in the event of the death of either spouse. It also examines a family's insurance coverage to determine if it is adequate.
I knew how to run my own household, but I didn't know how to invest my money. And knowing that this was going to have to take me through the rest of my life, that I absolutely had to depend upon these investments, it was very important to me how and where they were invested.
The step-by-step implementation of a financial plan may include reallocating a person's investment assets to a more appropriate balance of stocks, bonds, and cash to meet their needs and still remain within their tolerance for risk. In making these determinations, a person has to consider the lifestyle goals they've set and the means they have to get there before retirement. The financial consultant's job is to guide individuals through this process.
When people think about risk, normally I would think most people think that's the stock market. And there's a great deal of risk in not looking at all of your alternatives, because to sit in a 3 or a 4 or a 5% account, you run the risk of not having enough money. And if you have 5, 10, or 15 years for this investment to perform, historically there are other investments that will outperform cash and cash equivalent. And so you simply say, I have the time and I need the money, and that's the risk I'm going to take.
Once a plan is presented, people tend to leave with a lot better feeling of knowing where they stand and where they're going.
When you have your life in order, your affairs in order, it just makes it much easier on the people you leave behind.
Very often, it's the experiences of others that motivate us to see the world differently and to change.
What happened to me was one of my very dear friends in my age group passed. And he didn't do any planning. And when his wife and children looked up, IRS is knocking at their door. And what they thought they had, they didn't have. I began to look at that in terms of what it means to me and my family. That's when I began to look at different kind of ways to preserve what we had achieved.
Many people are not aware that without an effective estate plan, when you die, the government can take up to 55% of your estate in taxes. They will demand payment from your heirs in cash only 9 months after death. The right estate planning strategy can make all the difference. As Jim Wade's financial consultant, Reggie Wilkes advises him on his investment and savings decisions. Reggie also has a team of specialists available to assist his clients in recognizing and addressing their specific planning problems.
It is incumbent upon me to bring in a specialist, a 401k specialist, an insurance specialist, a retirement specialist, a tax specialist, to help me with my clients. I think of myself more as a generalist.
There are two different objectives. One on the business side is how do I make my business successful? On my personal financial side is how do I preserve that which I have gained through a successful business.
Jim Wade is a classic example of a self-made individual. He has made some tremendous business decisions that have allowed him to acquire tremendous wealth. But as with most individuals who have great wealth, someday when they go to transfer those assets to their heirs, the tax man cometh. And under the tax laws today, over half of the estate can be confiscated through the federal estate tax. And one of the potential strategies that we can employ is the leveraging of annual gifts into an irrevocable life insurance trust. In such a strategy, the trustee would then take those cash gifts and purchase life insurance inside the trust for the benefit of the trust beneficiaries. In so doing, when the individual passes on, the life insurance owned by the trust is then able to be utilized to offset the ravages of the taxman.
After spending a lifetime building a business, you have two things you can do. You can enjoy the business, and you could be comfortable with the fact that you're leaving something in place for your children. I want to make certain that what I've worked for, my children, number one, can enjoy at the level that they enjoy now. I don't want to see my estate just going up in flames with inflation and taxation.
When you do a financial plan, the result is a roadmap. You have a way to achieve those good long years. The worst thing you want to do is retire, and instead of living golden years, you're, slinging golden fries somewhere. You don't want to do that. But if you do good financial planning, you won't have to.
A couple of weeks to discuss in greater
Get your money to work harder for you.
the estate I'm more comfortable.
Call your Merrill Lynch financial consultant today and ask about the Financial Foundation service. Your Merrill Lynch Financial Foundation will give you the big picture perspective you need, pinpoint savings and investment opportunities, and help you to lay out an action plan to meet all your goals. Enjoy the lifestyle you want and the future you deserve. Build a plan. Do it today, because the difference is planning. The difference is Merrill Lynch.